online video games here, and there has been a lot of speculation and rumors about the Wii U. When is it coming out? How much is it going to cost? What is going to be? What is the engine going to be capable of running when you play games on the Wii U? Anyways, I'm sorry that's grammatically incorrect. Anyways, doesn't grammatically make any sense to say, even though it may sound like it does. But let's just get back to the Wii U real quick. So basically, Nintendo announced last year at E3 that the Wii U was going to be released in the future, and games are in development such as Darksiders 2, The Legend of Zelda in HD, but they're having massive problems with the Wii U, and let me explain what I mean. The Nintendo Wii, let's just look at the previous console so we could have some, I guess you could say history to fall back on, because we make decisions based on past experiences, meaning if you dislike the Wii, then you'll probably dislike the Wii U. So the Wii was a system that was not in HD. That's okay though, because Pong is a fun game, and that doesn't need to be in HD. It could be 2 pixels, and you could still have a shell all the time. So I guess the graphics for me personally don't matter. I prefer better graphics, but if they could focus either on one or the other because of limited resources and limited time and deadlines, because the game has to be, the game usually, I guess, is aimed to be released on a specific date, or else if it's not released on that date, then it may lose its hype. For example, if the game company told you our game's going to be released on November 1st, and then it was released, let's just say on May 20th, a lot of people may forget about it and may have spent the money that they would have purchased that they would have used to purchase that game on another game because the release date was changed and it didn't come out in time. So let's analyze the Wii real quick. The Wii forces motion controls, and this does not work because force motion controls are very inaccurate and imprecise. When you have to jump a specific way or execute a specific action and you shake it, it doesn't always properly react to your, I guess you could say, your wrist action with the Wii remote. For example, in a video game, let's just say you're playing Halo, and every time you tap A, you jump. But if you're supposed to jump in, let's just say the new Super Mario Brothers by shaking the Wii remote, this is just a hypothetical, and then it doesn't clearly detect your jump because the motion controls are inaccurate and imprecise, then you basically can't even control your character. And when games are based off perfect timing in order to succeed to the next level, it makes it impossible to progress if you can't fully control your character. Because if I need to jump to progress and it's not detecting my jump 80% of the time, then I'm not going to be able to progress in the game, or it's going to, or I could hopefully randomly get it 20% of the time, and then it would take a extremely large amount of time in order to complete that level, and this overall would feel frustrating to many gamers because this could have easily been avoided, where they just allowed you to plug in a game controller, or even better yet, just like PC gaming, where they allow you to plug in essentially any USB controller, and then you could set actions to specific buttons on that controller. So for example, if you're playing a game on your computer and you want A to jump, you could just assign jump to the button A. And the controllers usually have pre-assigned buttons, but if they don't, you can just set them when you plug in a controller. So the mouse and keyboard is an ultimate game experience because it has much more precision and it's a lot easier to execute specific actions in a controller because a controller is limited to so many buttons. As with, on the other hand, with a keyboard, you have over 30 different buttons, so you could assign an action to a specific button. On the other hand, with a controller, you may have to tap RB when on a computer. You could just have spacebar to execute that action, and then you have to do a combo to execute, I guess you could say, a single button action on the PC. Also, when you use your thumb to move your character, when you're using a thumbstick, it's not as precise as using your whole hand to control your character when you're using the mouse. So the mouse and keyboard are the ultimate controls. Now the Wii didn't even have the option to use a game controller for the majority of games, so the next level down would be the controls, which are much harder to master than the mouse and keyboard. And then in addition to that, we have the third level down, which is the worst of the worst, and it's all the way in the bottom, meaning we have force motion controls that are inaccurate and imprecise and don't execute properly, and because of this we can't fully control our characters. So games that have potential to be great games such as Super Mario Galaxy 2, Super Mario Galaxy 1, Donkey Kong, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, the ideas were there though, because when you play the games, you could say, oh wow, if I plugged in the game controller, if I could play this game with a game controller, or if I could plug in a game controller and play this game, then it would just be a fantastic experience. But because force motion controls just are inaccurate and imprecise, and you're unable to execute specific skills that you need to progress in the game that require motion controls, it just doesn't work. Plus, it also feels very weird when you have to shake it sideways and flip it back and then tap A. It doesn't even feel natural. It's like playing a game with half of a controller and a TV remote. So now that you guys heard my rant about the Wii, how it's a terrible system, only good thing about the Wii is it had backwards compatibility, and there were games that were saved because they used a game controller that were great, such as Mario Kart, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo, and then what else was there that used a game controller? TMNT smashed them up, which was like Super Smash Bros. And Super Smash Bros. Brawl was a degraded melee, but you could have used a game controller in that game as well. So let's look at the Wii U real quick. So apparently the Wii U is going to be more powerful than the Xbox 360 and PS3, so it will probably have an expensive retail price of at least $400 or more. I'm assuming it will at least be $400, and apparently there's a TV on the controller, and it's got two thumbsticks, so it looks like that they were going in the right direction towards going back to a semi, I guess you could say, a semi-normal control, because now we have multiple thumbsticks and we actually have buttons. But unfortunately, when I watched the Ira Gamer demo the Wii U, the game forces motion controls where you have to look around the room when he was playing the game, where you would have to shoot at pirates and you're out in the middle of the sea. What do I think about this? Well, I don't have a problem with motion controls, just make sure they're optional. If you want to add them, great, but allow us to at least plug in a game controller or some type of regular controller, or if you don't even want to assign a game controller to the game, at least allow us to be able to assign our own actions or assign our own buttons to the controller. So for example, if we plug in the game controller and it would say assign, let's just say jump to A, or assign block to R. In other words, let us use a game controller. If you don't want to assign the buttons and take the extra seconds to assign the buttons, then allow us to plug in a controller and assign our own buttons. And had they used a game control for older games, I think it would have gotten an enormous, I guess you could say, amount of revenue, because I would have bought a lot more games for the Wii if they had controls that actually worked. So let's look at the Wii U. So it seems as though it forces motion controls, and that's the biggest problem right there, because if they're inaccurate and imprecise like the Wii, it's just, I'm not going to be able to progress in the game, and what's the point of buying a game where I can't even, let's just say, hypothetically, get past the start menu? I know this is an extreme example, because let's just say it says shake the Wii remote in order to get past the start menu, and I shake it and it doesn't respond. Just what's the point of playing a game like that where the controls just do not work, even if you follow the directions on the screen? Let's say shake the Wii remote up and down, right and left, sideways. So it's probably going to force motion controls, and it looked like from the control that they were heading in the right direction. When I thought the Ira Gamer playing a game that forces motion controls, or I would assume that it forces motion controls because he was playing with motion controls, and because he was looking around the room, he was moving the Wii U controller like you move the 3DS when you play the game, the face game with the 3DS, where you take a photo of a face and then you're supposed to shoot at that face and all these faces trying to attack you. But it looked like it uses that same style of technology as the 3DS, where you have to move the Wii U around the room, just like you have to move the 3DS around the room to aim at those faces. But if Force Motion Controls is completely going to ruin the system, the graphics will probably be slightly better than the Xbox 360 and the PS3, but they are a generation behind because everyone was games were most of the games were in 720p and then they were expanded to be able to be viewable in 1080p. But if now they're beginning to allow their games to be viewed in 720p when everybody else has a significantly, when Sony and Microsoft have a significantly better graphics, and it just doesn't suit them well because they're not even, they can't even compete with their competition on the level of a graphical engine. And rather than even tying the competition there, they've now made the decision to put their console at a reduced level of quality because graphics are a big part of the, well, graphics could be a big part of the game to a lot of people, but if they were to improve the system and improve the games, let us use a game controller, give us an engine that will be able to be better, or at least be equivalent to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 720 or the next generation consoles. So assuming they did enforce motion controls, they were going to give us great games, and they were allowed to use a normal controller, and even if they wanted to charge more money, I think that they could compete though, because the hardcore gamer, people who love video games, if they see the value in a video game, then they'll probably be willing to pay nearly any price to purchase that game. So if the games retail at $75 and instead of retailing at $75, they retail at, let's just say, $110, because quality and the performance is supposed to be a lot better, and the gameplay is supposed to be a lot better, and it's supposed to be beyond amazing. People probably spend that extra $45 just to be able to play a fantastic game. In other words, focus on quality content. This is what I want the developers personally to focus on quality content, and if the company needs to charge a higher price to, I guess you could say, stay in the video game, to be able to compete in the video game market, then so be it. I mean, the purchase will be worthwhile and will justify the value of the price as long as it's a fantastic game. Meaning, I'm okay if they charge $110, but it needs to be a fantastic game, as opposed to charging $75 and making it a terrible experience. I prefer if they would find a way to make a better game without increasing the price, but if they have to increase the price to make a better game, then so be it. It is what it is, and I just hope that the Wii U doesn't force. I hope that the Wii U allows the option to use a classic controller. If not, though, I mean, will I probably get it? I'm assuming that some games, like the new Super Smash Bros., will be backwards compatible with classic controller, so there will probably be enough developers that allow use of the classic controller to justify the value of purchasing the Wii U just to be able to play those games. Because even if there are 6 games on the Wii that are decent that use a game controller, I mean, that right there justifies the purchase. It just depends how well designed those games are. For example, I love the game Naruto Shippuden Ultimate. I mean, Naruto Shippuden, Clash of the Ninja Revolution 3, I spent hours on the game. I liked every single character, including Anbu Kakashi. I bought everything in the store, but like I said, the console is worth purchasing it as long as it has games that you think justify the value of purchasing that console. Because essentially, if I'm purchasing, let's just say PlayStation 3 to be able to play one game, let's just say I want to play Uncharted 2, and let's say Uncharted 2 now costs $30, and let's just say the PlayStation costs $300, so I'm essentially spending probably significantly over $330, so probably spending nearly $400 just to be able to play Uncharted 2, and do I think it justifies that value? I mean, if I love Uncharted 2 and I spend enough time on it, then it relieves, hopefully, some of the stress, and it's enjoyable. because video games are supposed to be fun, they're supposed to relieve stress, they're supposed to be entertaining, but if it fits that description, then I don't see why it wouldn't be worth the value of nearly $400. So, about the Wii U, I hope that they allow the classic control for older games. They probably won't, and maybe they'll, I guess you could say, learn from, hopefully, their mistakes of the Wii and Wii U and be able to make at least a decent gaming console in the 9th generation of video games, because I think the Wii U will force motion controls for most games, and because the Wii U will probably not perform as well as the other systems in the 8th generation of consoles, and I just do not think that it will be as great as the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 720, but that's my opinion. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment box below. It's okay to agree, disagree, or even have a completely different opinion than me. Thanks for watching. I hope this information helped you. I'll probably, I guess you could say, keep you guys updated with the news about the Wii U, so hopefully I can help you guys make a fantastic purchase and decision if you choose to buy it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later on OnlineVideoGames signing out.